look at the short-term picture right now as far as the things going on right now. The change for the forecast for the weekend on the 6 to 10 day shows we do have generally great conditions lined up here for harvest activity. Most areas are going to be looking at normal temps, and as far as the precip-wise, everybody's going to be very dry here. So bottom line is we're going to have very active harvesting activity for corn, and we should see these numbers still advance more than normal, in fact. Average guesstimate right now for harvest as of this afternoon, they're talking 25 to 30% complete, and last week was 18. So 25 to 30%, last week was 18. And I haven't looked back on the records yet, but this is probably the fastest pace we've had in easily about 4 or 5 years, if not actually 15 or so. So we'll take a look at that and see what that actual neat little stat is here. But another thing kind of affecting corn I want to point out here is over the long term we have seen a very solid relationship between RBOB, which is the more or less the unleaded gas, which has also blended with ethanol, as well as ethanol by itself. Generally from 98 to 2009 we saw a very solid correlation. One thing I want to point out is we have this very wide discrepancy going on right now. And certainly since June or so, we have seen ethanol prices do nothing but skyrocket. And as you can tell right here, ethanol is actually at a premium to gas right now. It's kind of interesting that this announcement came during June, which is the last time the EPA said, you know what, we're going to delay this decision again, and we're going to delay it till end of September, more likely early October, as far as that blending rate issue here. So one thing I wanted to point out is part of the support from corn, aside from falling yields and those other issues, is this idea that ethanol, which makes up a third of corn pricing, is doing a rally right now based on this hope for this EPA decision. So we could have a change in fundamentals of some sort, but bottom line is as long as we have this ethanol still holding these very high prices compared to gas, I don't see corn breaking too much further past that $5 range in the near term. And at least for right now, they're talking that ethanol decision for the EPA. They may do an early stair-step type of an early announcement, maybe early October, on part of the blending decision for the cars 2007 and to current. But we won't get a full decision until at the end of November when they get their numbers from the Department of Energy on the 2001 to 2006 cars. So bottom line, this market's holding premium partially due to this ethanol issue here. Coming up later this week, we do have this annual report called the Small Grain Summary, and that's also combined with the quarterly stocks report. And if you guys don't know, essentially for especially some of these grains, for some of the categories of usage in grain, we really don't have no idea on what's going on with usage. So the way that USDA kind of gets around this whole idea is they count stocks of grain at every quarter. And as of September 1st, which marks the end of the old crop marketing year, we do expect to see the corn stocks decline to 1405. This is compared to this level over here of over 4 billion. One thing to point out is this is the end of the marketing year. So this is what USDA will adjust their numbers to coming for the old crop end of the year here. So we do expect an increase in stocks of old crop stocks, which will also carry over into new crop. So we have a little higher carry-in for this new crop number for corn. Over on the soybean side, I want to kind of point out the same type of correlation where soybeans we are processed for soybean oil and soybean meal. Just want to point out that look at this correlation that soybean oil has had to heating oil. Very solid numbers up until kind of the same type of story here. Second half of this year, we saw heating oil or soybean oil just start balloon here. So part of this is all those sales we're getting to China that usually would go to Argentina. So another thing supporting this bean market, which maybe is kind of we've got to consider here at this point, is not just the stocks on soybeans, but also with soybean oil, what the products are doing. And right now, this bean market is also being supported by soybean oil, as we can tell by this sharp uptrend here. As far as the report coming up at the end of this week, grain stocks report, do expect USDA to have a 145 million bushel ending stock. And actually, that's just a little bit lower than what USDA is saying for their guesstimate at 150. So maybe a little supportive on this end here as far as that number. But keep in mind, as far as the new crop stocks, which are a separate issue, which won't be covered on this report here, those are still going to be pretty wide right now. For wheat, we have two things affecting us end of this week. Not only the grain stocks, which we're going to cover in a second here, but also this small grains report. So essentially, these small grains, things like oats and barley and those type of issues, and wheat's included in there too, USDA summarizes the numbers that we finished with the harvest. And harvest of wheat finished up in June. So they do make some changes. They may go back and do some revisions. You can tell they've added and also subtracted. Our number right now, adding about 21 million bushels. So this might be a little bit bearish on the wheat side for this number. As far as this quarterly grain stock report, though, this is going to be more or less finishing with the first quarter of usage for wheat. So wheat marketing year goes from June 1st is the very first of marketing year, and this is going to mark the end of this first quarter. So we're going to have a large stocks, also a little bearish on the wheat side here too. So this report might be a little bearish on wheat, or the corn might be slightly bearish.